Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of Swim Lessons. I'm your host, Dallas Hanson. Hey, everybody, don't forget, every episode of Swim Lessons in its entirety is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And make sure you like and subscribe to everything that we put up on YouTube. It really helps us out a lot. My guest today is Becky Knudson. I've known Becky my whole life, and she's entering this new path, and I found it very interesting. So she's went her whole life just being a churchgoer, if you will, and now she's being asked to be the head member of the Concordia Lutheran Church, and her story on how she got to where she is today is very interesting. And I feel like if the world had more Becky Knudsons, the world would be a better place. And I'm not trying to do a podcast to throw church in everybody's face and throw God in everybody's face. I just think you should listen to Becky, listen what she has to say, and you'll see what I see. But before we get to Becky, we got to talk about BSN Sports. Ever since 1972, BSN Sports has helped area sports teams look their best as they strive for their goals and dreams. They provide apparel, uniforms, and equipment for teams in nearly every sport. Local service with a national reach, that is BSN Sports. Contact your local BSN Sports representative for more information. BSN Sports is a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. Next up, I'm going to be working for this company a lot here this fall, and that is Game Day Media. More than a game. Your leader in live video sports coverage in Northwest North Dakota. At Game Day Media, our goal is to expose, support, and promote the best athletes that North Dakota has to offer. Subscribe to our channel at Game Day Media ND on YouTube, or find us on Facebook at Game Day Media for schedules, quick links to games, stats, everything you need to know to find out where your favorite student athlete's going to be playing his or her sports games. Make sure you watch for upcoming events as football is fastly approaching, and we've got a busy fall schedule coming up. So really excited to be working for Game Day Media. Appreciate David and Randy Peterson. Next up is another network that's really fun, and that is PSP Network. Nick Holberg. PSP Network, they've been promoting local student athletes since day one. He's been doing a great job, and his network has really grown. It's expanded. And it's been fun to watch them grow. Make sure you check out their scheduled events on their website. That's psp.network, or YouTube at PSP Network. And I say this every podcast. I'm sure people are getting mad, but Nick Holberg has done such a great job with this summer. I've been following him this summer, and he's been doing this dirt track racing. He's the announcer for that as well. The guy is just a jack of all trades. He's the man. So make sure you check out PSP Network. Next up is our friends down in Williston, North Dakota at River's Edge Bar and Grill. River's Edge Bar and Grill is known for offering the best happy hour in town, providing unbeatable deals in a lively atmosphere. Guests can also enjoy a variety of entertaining activities, including bingo, trivia, and the very popular Name That Tune. Come on down to River's Edge for great drinks, great food, and great fun. And last but not least is the great and powerful Glasso Angus. Glasso Angus is a proud sponsor of Swim Lessons, the podcast. Glasso Angus is your premier source for registered Black Angus cattle since 1973. Glasso Angus cattle showcase dominance, durability, and docility, and they're built to thrive on the northern plains. Check out Glasso Angus, that's GLASOE Angus.com. Appreciate all those sponsors as they make the show possible, and I really appreciate Becky Knudson for not only doing the podcast, which it was out of her comfort zone, but for telling us her journey. It's been a fun one and a heartfelt one. Here is Becky Knudson. Becky, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for doing this.
Well, you're welcome. I'm kind of nervous about this.
No, there's no reason to be nervous. I've been around you my whole life, and it started off early on with the Cub Scouts, and you and your husband Les were heavily involved in just about every kid that's, my age, 32, when they were growing up. You and Les had a hand in them growing up. Yeah. And now you've transitioned from being a leader in that part of the community to now faith, church. And it's got to be a door that you didn't think you'd ever have to open or walk through, correct?
Right.
And I mean, how does it feel to transition to this point of your life? Because you're going to college to be a ministry member, correct?
Yep. I'll be going to Wartburg Seminary.
That's exciting.
Yeah. In Dubuque, Iowa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've never been to Iowa.
You're not missing too much. I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
We'll see.
To transition from being a big part of the community to now a huge part of the community must be a good feeling to help out that way.
It feels really good to help. I don't know if I'm a huge part of the community. I feel very called to do what I'm doing. If someone would have said a year ago, Becky, you're going to be going to seminary, I would have been like, no.
Yeah.
And actually, when our pastor, Zach and Emily Shipman, gave their resignation back in late September of 2023, a couple of the people from our church at Concordia approached me like, hey, would you think about being a leader? I had filled in, but I hadn't been like regular. And I was like, well, I could fill in. And that turned into more than filling in. And then when it came time to doing paperwork as to being authorized to do sacraments like Holy Communion and baptism, I checked the box.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll do it all. And I never thought I would do a funeral. And I find it very special to be able to help people through those difficult times. And I'm learning with every day that I do things like that, but it's what I've been called to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I kind of grew into that. Like, you kind of, like you said, if you start out with young kids and Sunday school and Boy Scouts and raising kids and having them in your house, and you kind of just try to teach them that God loves them.
Yeah. No, 100%. Well, I kind of jumped the gun there, but I want to back the story up a little bit. So you have 4 sons, correct?
I have 3 sons.
3 sons, excuse me.
Yep.
3. Okay, so you have 3 sons. All of them played hockey. All of them were in the Scouts.
Yep.
So you kind of grew up just being a good mom and helping them out. And then when you and Les become an empty nester, were you like, okay, what's next? Or what was the process behind that?
I felt like my job was always to be that support person in the family. Whatever people needed help with, that was what I did. And whether it was my immediate family or with in-laws or with my sisters or brothers or Les's family, I always felt that was something I would do. But as an empty nester, it became kind of like, okay, what do we do now? Like,
no more hockey games, no more school.
Yeah, you go to those games and it's like, it doesn't feel the same,
right?
So, it was different, and I never imagined that I would take a turn that way. I kind of give a little bit of credit in a way to COVID. During COVID, I really missed my church family, and our church wasn't open. We weren't meeting. We were just doing online, and I just craved interaction with my church family. And that's when I began an online Zoom Bible study.
Really?
And I kind of felt like that little nudge, little nudge. And then I started taking some classes through Luther Seminary to just teach me to be a better Bible study teacher, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just kept getting these little nudges to now here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you got here, so Zach and Emily Shipman were like the Lutheran, and then they left. So there was kind of this void in the community. And then you stepped up, and now you've been doing actually, I was at my good friend Trevor Tomte, had Dylan, his daughter, be baptized, and you were part of that.
Baptized him. Yep.
And I remember we had a little party afterwards, and I'm like, man, Becky was awesome up there. That's really cool. I'm like, is she doing that full time? And Trevor's like, I think she's going to try to, or at least, look into that. And I'm like, that is so insane, because here you are in kind of the different part of your life, and it's come out of nowhere. And like you said, you were kind of trying to nudge your way in during COVID, but how does it feel to go into becoming like a preacher? Is that an insane feeling? What is that like?
And it kind of, I don't know if insane, but I think I'm insane because I'm old.
Yeah. No, you're not.
And when I talked to the admissions counselor at the college, I was like, what am I thinking? Like I shouldn't be doing it. And she said, actually, you are right in the thick of this program's age group.
Really?
And a lot of them are second career students.
Really?
So
that is awesome.
So yeah.
So you're not the only one.
I'm not the only one. And she said, you're actually like right in the thick and maybe even on the younger side of things.
All right.
So we'll see how that turns out. I mean, I was visiting a really good friend last night about this. And she's like, we're kind of old to learn. So I'm like, ooh, yeah, I got to learn how to learn.
Yeah. Did you grow up in the Lutheran church?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you've kind of always been around the faith.
Yep. Yeah.
What is it like when you're preparing because I've always found it interesting. I grew up Catholic, but I've been to Lutheran church a handful of times.
Yep.
But I always found it interesting, like the homily and like how you have to tie in the scripture for the week into like modern day stuff.
Yep.
And I just love that part of it because it makes it reflective and you can like make it applicable to your life. Yeah. How do you, Becky, go into that part of Sunday service and like make sure this story lines up with this storyline in my life?
Yeah. It's kind of a delicate balance in my opinion, because I've listened to preachers where all they talk about is their life experiences. And I didn't want to be that preacher. Not that I think it's good to share life experiences. I do it, but I don't do it every week. Mm-hmm. And to take a look at it and do a twist on it. I do a lot of research. They say for every minute of a sermon, you have about an hour of research.
Really?
And I'm not quite, I used to be, maybe a year ago, probably a 10-minute sermon was 10 hours of work. I'm probably a little less than that because I've kind of learned where to go and how to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. And then I also like to think about where is our community, or where like if there's been a disaster in the area, or if we're rejoicing, like during graduation, it was so fun to preach. Yeah. Because we had these young people who are looking at their futures, and it was really fun to tie in and try to figure out how to tie in what the lectionary was telling us to how these young people are going to go out into the world.
Yeah, that is really unique.
Yeah.
What did your husband Les say when you were like, hey, husband, I might be making this role in this change? Yeah,
he's been very supportive.
Yeah.
And he claims that he listens to my sermon about 5 times a week.
Okay.
I don't think I've practiced that much in front of him, but he's been super supportive. He says that kind of my turn, and I appreciate that. I don't look at it as that way. I think we're a team in itself. I take him to confirmation with me when I'm teaching the students, and I call him, I just say, he's the hit man, so we got to behave if we don't behave, or, he kind of just helps me with that. Or we do a lot of technology at Concordia, not so much at the other churches I serve, but he's the one that's running my live streams or doing things like that. So he's kind of
a true team. A true team.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, we went to old man basketball, like Trevor Tomte, Justin Alwyn, myself. And your husband's how tall?
6'4".
6'4".
Yeah.
Well, when I was little, he seemed like he was 7'1". Like he was the Shaq of Crosby. Like he was the big guy, and I just loved like playing basketball with him when I was young. And how tall are you?
I'm 5 foot.
So people listening, like they understand, 6'4" to 5 foot.
Yeah.
I just Les is the man. But anyways, one thing I want to talk about too is because throughout your life there's been certain times that have been tough. Mm-hmm. And I know your son Noah, and his story is incredible. Yep. But tell us a little bit about your son Noah and how he's overcome so much. Oh, and that's got to be applicable to your faith as well. Yeah,
it definitely was. I mean, there's just so many dimensions to what Noah's story is about. Just real quick, he had a very odd autoimmune issue that caused a lot of different things. We took 2.5 years to diagnose what was wrong with him, and
It's a long time.
several flights to Minneapolis on air ambulances, and long story short, this started in 2013, and by 2017 he had 8% use of his kidneys, and so he made the choice for kidney donation. And that process in itself was a battle of faith. And I do call it a battle because, when you need a kidney and you're at 8% and you don't, your health is horrible and there's all these dangers, and none of our family members matched.
No.
And so that was a battle, and we prayed about it, and we just really worked every avenue we could find, and we were given so much support. Like, I can't even tell you. I wrote a Facebook post, and I think it went to probably 5,000-6,000 people.
That's awesome.
Just giving we need someone to just go get tested, see if you match, and a little story, and just the love and support from the community and beyond. Like, we had people reaching out from across the country. And so after about 5 months of searching for a donor, our very own pastor was the person that donated. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, So, I mean, part of organ donation is you don't, you can recommend, hey, we need a donor or whatever, but they, at the clinic, they don't ever say so-and-so is being tested. They don't, because there's never supposed to be any form of pressure for that person to donate. They need to do it freely. And so when we found out Pastor Zach was our match, I mean, Noah and I just stood in the living room after we heard that and just bawled.
That is insane.
And, so that was 2017. Pastor Zach's health is great. Noah's health is good. And it really opened my eyes to the miracle of donation in itself. It's probably one of my biggest passions I have is donation. Yeah.
That story, it's like a movie, and there's got to be somebody upstairs that's looking after, Noah and Becky and seeing all the support, and then turns out it's your own pastor that gives your son a second chance at life. That's amazing. Yeah. What do you say to Zach when he gives the kidney? What do you say?
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's
just
really
thank you.
Hard because thank you's not enough, because you just gave my son life, and he didn't expect it. He didn't expect a thank you, because he recited a verse from 1 John, and he said, if you see a brother or sister in need and you don't reach out and help them, you're not living the gospel.
Wow.
And I paraphrased it.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
So I just feel like he was living his truth and calling, and he had a young daughter at the time, and we just, could never repay that gift that he gave us ever. Yeah, it was amazing.
Noah's doing good now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Is he in Grand Forks?
He lives in Bismarck.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, Noah's the man. I remember him growing up. He was the little guy and just running around.
Running around at the Boy Scout camps. Taking along, bugging you guys, I'm sure.
No bugging. So tell me next steps, because you were talking a little bit about how the community and they appreciate everything. And there's a few community members that reached out to me and were like, hey, Becky's trying to do this with their life. It's a very unique story. And I agree. Yeah. So tell us, what are the next steps? So you're going to go to this school and you're going to learn everything. And...
I'm in the process. They call it candidacy. And I need to be interviewed and accepted. I've written several essays about different subjects that they want to know about me and learn about me and where my faith is and things like that.
What are some of the subjects?
Like, what are some things that have shaped my faith?
Really?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Of course, Noah's story is in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, I also talked about back in Epping when I was a little girl and growing up and how I went through when I was 5, my parents divorced and it was a nasty divorce, and how the ladies in the church just kind of carried me through and helped me through Sunday school and helped me stay on the straight and narrow. And I just feel like that, those people, even though they're long gone, are part of my story.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah. Once I'm accepted into candidacy, I am beginning courses with Wartburg in September, and I'm going to do both. It's a hybrid model, so I'll be going to Wartburg for 1 to 2 weeks at a time to do intensive classes. The rest of the time is online. And what's really cool about my program is I can continue to serve in Divide County in the places that I'm serving now.
Oh, that's cool.
And actually, some of the work that I'm doing will count toward my education and credits for what I need to do to become a rostered ELCA pastor.
What would you say has been like the biggest challenge going into this?
Technology.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm actually going to go and spend like a day within missions. And she has another gal that's just starting too, just to learn like how to understand the platform and stuff. Cause I'm not a techie. I'm just not. So, but of course, trying to discern whether this call makes sense, because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just me thinking I should do this, that it was what I was being called to do by Christ, and that it was what was best for the churches I serve. And I kept getting nudges in the right direction, and I feel really good that my choice in doing this is kind of the way we're going to be finding our pastors up here in the future, and maybe breaking a little bit of ground and trying to kind of forge a path for others that might be thinking, maybe I do need a change in my career, and Becky did it. Maybe I could figure out how to do it, or maybe Becky would help me learn how to do that. And so I'm really excited about that. Just to see what happens next in Northwest North Dakota.
Yeah, heck yeah. Tell us a little bit more about these nudges that you experienced. Like, do you have a specific story that you can remember where it's like, okay, this is a good move?
I think it's hard to explain the Holy Spirit, Dallas.
That's true.
It's hard. It's like you'll wonder about something, like, I wonder if, and then the next morning my Bible reading will be exactly what I was wondering about. And it's like, aha, I think you're giving me a little bit of a hint.
Yeah.
Or in December, I did the first funeral I'd ever done all by myself. I had assisted a couple prior to that. And I was like, ooh, I don't know how this is, if this is right. And when it was all done, one of the family members just assured me and hugged me and said that they appreciated how I did it. And okay, that I felt like that was a little bit of a nudge. Like, okay, what I'm doing here is good, and I can do this, and I can give it justice. I can,
that makes sense.
Make people help them feel comforted when they need comforting.
Yeah. Man, doing a funeral, that would be tough. I had to talk at one, John Hanish. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
And the Hanish family, because I had been around John my whole life. And they're like, Dallas, would you mind saying
I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I was there.
I loved John. I loved John. So, but it was weird. I was writing it and I'm like, man, this is the last This is some of the last words people think while he's
Right.
still here on,
Yeah.
or, you know, his body's here, but his soul's gone. But I was like, man, this is weird.
Yeah.
Do you get that feeling when you're about to do a funeral, or like you're going to preach at a funeral?
Yeah. I always think about, and especially if you don't know them,
Yeah.
like if you haven't met the person, but I always think about like how am I going to comfort the ones that are here,
Mm-hmm.
and how can we make sure that they hear that they are loved, that their loved one they'll see again.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that's kind of where I lead.
Yeah.
And kind of sprinkle it with some little stories if I have some.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Yeah.
also going to get to do weddings, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I
that's
haven't
gonna be
done
great.
that yet.
Really?
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's going to be the best. I mean,
yeah.
I'm in 6 weddings this summer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I was an usher in 1, and then I'm a groomsman in 3. My girlfriend's boy. Anyways, just
Yeah.
a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
But one thing that I really have loved in going to church and everything is when not only the preachers, pastors, whatever you want to call them, they not only make it like personal, but they also make it fun
Yeah.
and make going to church fun.
Yeah.
And this isn't just a time you got to go for an hour.
Yeah.
This is a fun spot. This
Yeah.
is where we come to get together as a community,
Yep.
to learn more and you know, kind of wash away a few sins. But is that what you guys are aiming to do at
Yeah.
the Lutheran Church a little bit?
I say this almost every Sunday, and I say it to my confirmation kids that I teach when we're in class. It's all about relationships.
Mhm.
And it's relationship, like a horizontal relationship with like you and me.
Mhm.
And it's also our vertical relationship with God. And God wants us to be in relationship with him and with each other. And I just can't stress enough how important that is. And that doesn't include joy and having fun together, but it also includes saying you're sorry when
Yeah.
you hurt them, and saying, I accept you. I accept your apology when you need that too. You know, it's, you know, kind of going through some of those hard times and enjoying the joy together too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the world needs that right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you're religious or not, that's a big thing we're missing.
It is, for sure.
You were talking about Noah and how the power of social media really helped Noah's story.
Yep.
But social media, Becky, I don't know
It's
if you've
hard.
it's difficult, and
Yeah.
it's can be very frustrating.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's mean.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
I
it's-
actually try to take social media. I use it as a tool because I feel the same way. Like sometimes it can just become overwhelmingly just it can consume your time,
Yeah.
and then get you worked up about things that
That don't matter.
Don't matter. Yeah.
Like one time I got my weekly screen usage time update like every Sunday.
Yeah.
And it said it was 7.5 hours.
Really?
Daily. And I'm like, whoa, dude, you got to take a step back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a rule now when I wake up, no phone, unless it's like a call or a text,
Yeah.
no social media till 8:30.
Yeah.
And that's helped out a lot.
That's good.
So you have a cup of coffee, take the dog for a
Yeah.
walk, go out to the farm.
Yeah.
And right away, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to check Facebook, see
Yeah.
whose birthday it is. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
and then finally, I got
Yeah.
used to it. And then 2 weeks later, I didn't even look at the phone in the morning. So
Yeah.
it's like, you just got to try new things.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Try new things like going to church.
That would be great. That would be
Yes.
awesome.
Have any of the priests in the area reached out to you and like helped you along at all? Or
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Especially within our ELCA pastors, we have a group of people that meet on Tuesdays, and this summer I haven't attended a lot of them just because I'm doing a little. It's called text study, and we get together and talk about the text. And I've been preaching on things other than the normal text, so I haven't been attending. But they have been so helpful. Like, you have questions on how, like when I did Dylan's baptism,
Yeah.
I said, would one of you guys come so I could just go through it with you and you could tell me? And I learned that you put warm water in it so the baby doesn't have cold water. And,
Yeah.
I never would have thought about like the temperature of the water and just, yeah. So they're really good about encouraging us, and they take a phone call almost anytime I pick it up. And as well as the rest of, there's 5 other people in our congregations that are doing the work of the SAM, which is a synodically authorized minister. I'm just taking the next step to go
Nice.
into
I like
seminary.
that. The Sam.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, Becky, Father Crane at the Catholic Church
amazing.
has reinvented my faith. Like,
Yes.
this sounds bad, but I kind of quit going to church during COVID, and I came back, and the Catholic Church does just a random assigning pastors, and we had a guy that wasn't from the United States. Kind of hard to understand.
Yep.
Hard enough to understand to the point where you would walk into church and they'd hand you like a big sheet of paper, and it would be his homily.
Yeah.
And if you couldn't understand him, you could maybe follow along with the words.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a lot.
Tough.
And it was tough, and it wasn't his fault. It's just the way the cards were dealt.
Yep.
So my family kind of quit going.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing because we would always, it was a Sunday thing, go to church, go to breakfast at the Rooster, watch NFL football.
Yeah.
That was Sunday.
Yep.
A great day.
Yep.
So then it kind of stopped. And then I remember when I moved back, and then my dad's like, let's go to church. We got this new Father Crane.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's give it a shot. I'm not kidding you, Becky. The first time I went there, his homily, it was like he was just talking to me, and he's kind of my age, younger guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this guy is onto something. And ever since then, I truly look forward to going to church. I look forward to listening to what he has to say. And if it's applicable to my life, great. And if it's not, I'm not here to say, hey, you need to be a Catholic, or hey, you need to be a Lutheran.
Right.
Or but if you allow God to come into your life, especially for me as of late, it can change a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And it's fun.
Yeah. Father Crane spoke to the kids during baccalaureate. And I was sitting up on the altar. He was in the pulpit, but I was on the altar, and the kids, they were just watching him, all eyes, mouth dropped, listening to him. He's amazing, and we are so blessed to have him in our community.
Oh,
I look forward to having more interactions with him. We've done a few things together. Yeah.
A couple of days ago, I was outside barbecuing, and he was on a walk.
Yeah.
And he walked by. He's like, hey, Dallas. I'm like, hey, Father Crane. And we started talking. And then he's like, hey, can I get your number? I'd love to text you. And we could, if you could help out the church in a few ways. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Cool.
So he gets out his phone. And his phone is the size of a calculator.
Okay.
No smartphone, no screen. It's literally one little dot and all the old school numbers. I'm like, what is that? He's like, this is my way from unplugging to the world. I'm like, wow.
Oh,
good for you, man.
Yeah.
That is cool. Because he was focused on his goal, and he's focused on the way. And we were talking about earlier, social media can be a terrible spot.
Yeah.
So in that way, he's just so focused, and it's definitely working for him. I mean, he's doing such a great job.
Yes, it's cool.
But let's get back to you. So give us a quick way that somebody listening to this can help you make this possible.
Well, there are a group of people, and I think they're mostly women, but I don't know for sure, that are very loving and kind. And I had a phone call from the ringleader, Sandra Simonson.
Oh, I love Sandy. She's the best.
And she said, we're going to do a fundraiser for you and to help you go to seminary. So there are scholarships available for me, but I am not able to apply for them yet. And so this group is going to do a fundraiser, and I haven't even been told when. Okay. So I think you need to just keep watching. Yeah. Facebook probably, or the journal. I don't know, or we'll know more later. But they're going to do a fundraiser to help with some of my seminary costs.
That's awesome.
To go to school for 3 years, my seminary cost alone will be $36,000.
Wow!
And so that doesn't include my travel to Dubuque and back. And I just feel very blessed that they would take the time to help with that endeavor. And I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude for that, to know that people have like they trust me, and they know that it's going to do good for our community to have me attend seminary, and they just know that it's the right thing to do. Just feel so amazing.
Yeah, and Christy Haugenow loves you too. She's the one that told me about you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good group and a good friends. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's been 30 minutes. Every question I ask every podcast guest is Swim Lessons is a podcast about overcoming tough times.
Yeah.
Who are you when your back's against the wall, chips aren't falling as they may? Becky, what do you say to yourself when times are tough and you're like, I gotta get going again?
Yeah. I just trust in God. Yeah. I have a sign that I hang in my area that I get dressed every morning, and it says, when life is too hard to stand, you kneel.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just trust in God and trust in his direction. And when things get hard, I just talk to him a little bit more, and just try to find out just exactly where he's guiding and how he's going to get me through it. Yeah.
Well, good. Hey, I wish you the best of luck. I'm excited for you. This is going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. Excited for Les. I'm a big Les Knudson guy.
Nice.
So wish you the best.
Yeah.
And we'll be on the lookout for this thing to help your dream come true.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Becky. That's a wrap.
Yep.